I heard it just right there, just for the
Okay.
first time.
Okay. Yeah, he's begging me to throw the ball since I'm in his house now. It's not the other way around. So
That's funny,
it's
man.
hard for me to tell him to be quiet. Um, well, cool. For those that are joining us live or watching later, I'm Sid Graff with a huge convention, and we got Brandon Vaughn on today. And Brandon, um, I actually I'm doing a TED Talk next week, and you're one of the keynote speakers. And when I was going through the TED Talk, one of the points I want to make is how important it is to learn from other people that have done well in our industry, that have built a business like the one you want to build. And you're one of the first people I met the first time I went to the huge convention. Um, and you taught a breakout session about how to have fiercely loyal employees or
Right.
something about that title. And it
Yep.
and it stuck with me. And it was also, I guess, a pretty good um, harbinger or foreshadowing of your work with Hirebus
Hmm.
now. So I'll give for people that don't know you well or may not know, I'll just kind of give a little background as an introduction. Um, you scaled an exterior cleaning service from one employee, you, to over 70. And then you've coached thousands of business builders, business owners, primarily in the home service business through Conquer and the Conquer platform. And you coach the coaches that coach the people. And you built Hirebus, which is one of the top platforms for hiring in the service industry. And you've got some other cool stuff you're working on that maybe we'll get to later. But with that, welcome. It's
Thank you,
good to see
man.
you.
I
Catch me up on,
appreciate it.
like, what are you working on now that really has you excited?
Mm. I just sold Wise Coatings. So I don't know if you heard about that, but that was a project that I started back in 2020, beginning of 2020.
Yeah.
And we got up around 30, I think it was like 39 locations, and then ended up selling to a really, really good group that's going to kind of keep that legacy going and moving forward with that.
Congrats.
So
That's great.
for the time being right now, I've just enjoyed being in builder mode.
Yeah.
That's where I thrive the most, is just being in a creative space to be able to build and solve problems. And the majority of my time has been doing that. So my schedule of travel has been unbelievably light this year compared to last year. In fact, the huge convention is going to be, I think, one of two events where I've actually committed to speaking at for the whole year.
Wow.
Previous years, it was upwards of 15.
Dozens. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's it's been a nice change of scenery and change of pace. My daughter's getting married next week. So
What?
yeah, it's been a busy season of life, but I'm just very, very blessed, very excited, and enjoying what I'm doing these days. It's been a lot of fun.
Okay. That's cool. I think that surprised me so much when you said your daughter's getting married because I have your children frozen as much
Hey,
younger.
it surprised me too, just to be clear. I'm like, "Oh, you can't do that. You can't do that.
You're too little.
She
Yeah.
can, apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the last time I saw your family was in 2019 in Branson, Missouri, and a big group went to dinner. And
Mhm.
yeah, I call them, at that age, like the monkeys. Like
Yep.
everybody's, there was maybe a tweener teen, probably
Mhm.
your daughter. Is she the oldest, the one that's getting
She
married?
is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, that's fantastic.
Yeah,
Congrats.
thank you, man. Thank you. We're excited. It's gonna be a good week next week. So I'm speaking at the huge, and then flying home that evening, and then 2 days later is when she gets married.
Oh,
So
no kidding.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. But I didn't want to miss it. The huge convention is going to be amazing this year. I'm really excited. Really excited to be there, and it's going to be the first time that my dad has ever seen me speak publicly business related.
Really?
And so he's going to be flying with me. It's just going to be the two of us, and we're going to
Yeah.
be flying in, and it'll be the first time he'll actually be sitting in the audience, which will be pretty cool.
That's very cool. That feels like kind of a full circle event since you worked with him as a kid, a young man, and then took
Yep.
over the business and you've seen all this evolution and come back around. He gets to see you talk about the day you downloaded your dad's brain.
Yeah. Yeah. I've been working on a book for about the past year. And the plan was to have it fully ready, kind of launched now. It's very, very close, but the topic that I'm going to kind of dive in has just been these frameworks that I've been working on for the past, few years actually, and just kind of getting it to a place, especially now in like the age of AI. It is so critical to do certain things in a business to be able to get it set up for that type of work and what the trades is going to look like in the next few years. I've been focusing on building out a ton of things for Volt Vikings, my electrical company, as well as the other businesses that I own, and just kind of seeing the impact and the change and the speed with which things are happening. There's companies that are doing it really well, and there's companies that are just kind of getting left behind.
Yeah.
And so that's what I'm kind of excited to dive into. And the cool thing is it all kind of connects and goes full circle with that topic as well. So yeah, it's gonna be fun.
Oh, that's cool. When I saw, give me just a second, my phone's blowing up, and it's not supposed to. When I saw the title of you're talking, the day I downloaded My Dad's Brain, it was like, ooh, that could be a sci-fi movie, but then it's not that futuristic now. I mean, we're in the age where with AI we can download a brain pretty quickly.
Yeah. Yeah. It's been one of those. Have you ever seen those things called Memento where you can, you can sign up to have your parents go through a structured interview of sorts.
Okay.
And it asks them a question about their life and their backstory and some of their, how they met their spouse and some of their first key things and sharing those memories. And then it packages it all up at the end of it and gives you a book.
Yeah.
And my wife and I did that actually a couple of years ago. And I remember thinking at that time, oh my gosh, this is literally what every business owner needs, is to have this exact experience.
Yeah.
And it's one of the things that I've been intentionally working on and kind of building and thinking about a framework of how that would be structured and how that could be captured, because so many people struggle with how to build systems.
Yeah.
And they build systems and then it sits on a shelf and collects dust. So I'm excited to share a lot of things that it's new. It's definitely an interesting take. I don't think too many people are talking about it right now. And so I think the timing's right, especially now that people are realizing like AI is not going anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just going straight up.
Yeah.
Yeah. And now you like to, because it has been for most business builders, like the bottleneck is themselves, their head. Is like, get it out of your head, get it in writing, get it out where you can train others and everybody else can follow it and free yourself. And you're big on like not just systems for making more money, but primarily systems to give you freedom,
Right.
free you up from the thing. And
Mhm.
I mean, there's so many tools we use, like a Plod Note or a Note Pen. We have our
Mhm.
salespeople wear them, and you're like, I desperately dislike sitting down to type something out. And so
Yeah.
I was
Same.
like, 2 years ago, I got one of these. I'm like, oh my God, it's a miracle. I think I logged like 600 hours of recording last year and just record it all. And then it sorts out all my brain dumpage and then turns it into a beautiful document that I can tweak, or I can most likely have someone else tweak and,
Mhm.
and build that way. Let me flip back. You said you love being in builder mode. And I wanted to ask you this. It was not on my list of 8 questions for Brandon Vaughn, but do there's builder mode where everything's exciting and it's changing. You have to adapt and you've got a plan, and then you work it. But at some point, and you've done this several times, you get to the point where business is now maybe it's not maintenance mode, it's still growing, but you've got leadership in place, you have systems in place, and it largely runs without you. When you hit that spot, what do? Do you get bored? Do you look for something else to start, or do you enjoy the like the smooth flying part?
That's a great question. I would say it is definitely both. It's definitely, I enjoy that place where I can take a step back and I can look and say, wow, I built that. That didn't exist before. It was just an idea in my mind. And then I spoke it and willed it into existence.
Yeah.
And now it's this really cool thing. And you can celebrate that either in the form of revenue streams that continue to come in. You can celebrate it in the form of an exit. And, with All Clean, my first business that I kind of took seriously, when I got at that place and had that sale, I had this epiphany moment when I started kind of sitting down and saying, okay, in this many years, this is what I was able to do. And then this is what I could keep doing this. This could be my thing. And
Yeah.
I believe that my sweet spot is in builder and getting things to a place where I can get it set up. And where my struggles are is actually seeing things to the full expanse of what they could be through my own personal efforts. And the only way that I can get a business or any type of a program or plan to that next level is to be able to bring in those types of integrators and people that put in the consistent effort, that consistent work. And so, yeah, in a lot of ways, the way that I stay excited and stay engaged is by thinking of innovative ways to solve problems. I think at my core, I'm a creator, I'm a problem solver. I like thinking about things in a creative way. But when it comes to the execution layer, I don't want to be the ADHD guy that gets it to the 75% mark and then just it dies.
It stops. Yeah.
Yes. And so I've recognized very, very quickly that, okay, if I came up with a concept, now I need to apply most of my work in finding out who are going to be the best people to come in and actually make this dream or this vision a reality. And it's my job to communicate what that vision is and to package it up in a way to where people can see what my vision is and then go and execute on it. And there's a really good book that I read recently by Cameron Herold. It's called Vivid Vision. And it's a fantastic book. And I heard him speak at an event. And, one of the things that he kind of talked about is when you ask a home builder to come in and build your own dream house, how well you communicate the feelings and the desires and what you want it to look, it's like, you're not going to tell them every single finish and exactly how everything is. You have to kind of explain your vision to them, and how well you can explain that is equal to how beautiful and how well you enjoy that final home.
Yeah.
And it's a skill set that a lot of CEOs forget about, is visionary. And visionary is not just come up with the idea, it's your ability to be able to translate it in a way to where people can consistently, and many teams can orient themselves around it and then go execute on it. So these last couple of years, especially, I've been focused on how well can I not only be a builder or a visionary, but how well can I build that vision into very clear roadmap of how we get there. Doesn't mean I have to do the work, but I have to at least be able to lay out the groundwork and the path so that people know how to execute on it.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. You're a Bible fan. That God, I think it's in Habakkuk or somewhere. It says that where there is no vision, the people perish. And there's a different translation of it that says where there is no vision, people wander aimlessly. And what you just said is like being able to clarify your vision well enough so that when you communicate it, people see it and they can execute on it. They don't wander aimlessly. They go, that's exactly what we're supposed to do. Boom, 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 and just carry it out.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Being able to be, that is what it means to be a leader, is to be able to actually execute that and get that going. I think your dog is nipping at your ankles, isn't he?
He's nipping at my ankles, so I'm going to play fetch with him while we talk, because he won't bark as long as I'm throwing it. So once in a while, you'll see me go, woo, like
that's awesome.
About now. All right, question for you. So with all the, with the time with Conquer, throw the ball. What are the top 3 or 4 evergreen problems that home service business builders face? I know there's hiring. I know there's marketing leads. What are the problems that you help people solve over and over and over again? The same main problems.
I think that one of the skill sets that I've been able to hone in over the years is, organization of systems and thinking about the business in terms of what the technology stack should look like and how to build out your operational playbooks inside of a business. I may struggle myself to be the person to put all of them together, but I typically have a good vision and idea of, okay, here's exactly what the playbook should look like in their finished state. And I'd say that a lot of business owners struggle with that part of it. They struggle with what it should look like, how it should be organized, and they're very, very disorganized. And people on their team are very organized. And you need to have that person in your business that helps catalog and, document your processes and puts those things together and make sure that the people on your team do that. Now in the age of AI, that's becoming increasingly easier and easier to be able to deploy, where you have a 24/7 employee that helps all of your employees all at once, but you have to set up that infrastructure. And so I think over these, past couple of years, the architecture side of things has been what I've become most obsessed with, that a lot of people struggle with. And then being able to really understand marketing, how to make the phone ring consistently, how to understand where they should be investing their time, money, and energy, and how to be able to have good marketing hooks, and how to set aside your brand and make real competitive differentiators so you don't look like every other business inside of your marketplace.
Yeah.
That has been an area that I have really enjoyed becoming, you know, uh, well studied in that skill set too. So that and the hiring side of it, as well as the sales side of it, and the sales processes, I'd say has been where I've focused a lot of my time, energy, and effort in.
Okay. With in the world of marketing, Alex Hormozy's put out several really great books, but what are your thoughts on the ow, sorry, my dog just bit me. He's fighting me for the ball he wants me to throw. So he doesn't know how this game works. You have to let go.
He
And then
does actually. I think you don't know how this game works.
That's right.
He's like, you think you're doing a podcast while we're playing fetch? No, you're here with me. He's got
That's
you
right.
trained.
And then he's got a sister that when I throw the ball for him, she just barks because he got the ball and she doesn't.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
No, this is all good. All right. I was going back to $100 million leads, no
Mhm.
offers. So
Mhm.
he wrote this book about making offers, and technically it's a marketing book. It's not about the channels, but it's about the offer. What are like you've become adept at that? What are some of the offers you've seen that really get people's attention?
I think the things that first of all, you have to have an amazing product to sell. The difference between a company that really struggles with their marketing and ones that do very, very well is if they have a product that is shut up and take my money. Like, it actually solves the real pain points.
Mhm.
I think the best offers are the ones that connect to the number one biggest pain points that the person has when trying to get that problem solved. So really getting into the psychology of your customers and finding out, what do they hate about it?
Mhm.
What are their big challenges they have when they're dealing with contractors, and how could I set myself up differently to be able to, you know, solve that exact pain point? And even if they didn't fully materialize inside of their brain, if you can help somebody else understand their problems and describe their problems better than they can describe it themselves, they'll automatically assume that you're the expert that can help solve them. And I think that on the marketing offer side of things, just resorting to a discount or dollars off is a really cheap way to put out those types of offers. If anything, I think stacking additional value add on top of things is where offers become irresistible. And I think that's one of the things that Hormozy does very, very well, is that you just get so much insane value whenever you buy something. And Russell Brunson does this very well, where you get
Yeah.
something and then you get this and you get this and you get this and you get this, and you get all these things stacked on top of it, where it's like, I would be stupid to say no, shut up and take my money. Yeah. Let me go ahead
Yeah.
and buy this. And I think that, if you really get to understand your customers' pain points and what they hate about working with contractors, and you start stacking stuff that's of real genuine value to them, then that's how you get those lifelong customers, those irresistible, offers that people want to buy.
Yeah. Isn't it crazy that, like, as you're saying that, I realize that, I mean, the classic infomercial formula go all the way back to, it slices, it
Right.
dices, it makes julienne fries, and that's not all. And you get two, and that's not all. We'll throw in a shoe shine and like the bonus stacking, but Brunson's company has made $1 billion doing that, and
Right.
and Hormozy was masterful at it. And then, generally speaking, I see a lot of home service businesses that do the opposite, like where you started. You go like it. I call it lazy marketing. They're like 10% off, 20% off, 50% off,
Mhm.
whatever.
Right.
Like, we'll just give you a discount rather than making it so irresistible that people just go, "What the hell? I got to
Yeah.
call now." You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
operators are standing by.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. And being able to have something that, takes, it's very, people are very busy and they don't have time to actually go and get 3 bids from people. They just want to
Yeah,
know that they can just get it done and it can be over with, and they aren't going to have any problems. It's not going to be stressful. They're going to have to fight with you. And those types of motions, how you directly talk to them about that and what makes you different, those are the things that ultimately just make someone say, yeah, okay, I'll go with you guys, because saves me time. It's what everyone wants at the end of the day.
yeah, for sure. And like I compare it to, if someone has an itch, sorry, if they have an itch, they don't want to find 3 people who can scratch an itch. They just need it scratched
Right.
now,
Yeah.
and not don't make me wait. Um, okay, I had a couple questions for you. I still see it online, and I've seen it for a long time, but people like to brag about like work ethic and hustle culture, and it's like that badge of honor when they're working 100 hours a week or 80 hours a week, and stuff like that. And I know you've had some pretty pointed things to say about that, but what actually now looks like hardcore hustle on the outside, but it really is just a red flag that somebody doesn't have their business set up right.
Yeah, I think it is a red flag.
That
Yeah.
is,
100. That is the red flag. Yeah.
if they
I
keep it up,
agree.
it'll be a dead flag. Right?
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, there's a season for everything, and time and unforeseen occurrence befall us all. The Bible says, and so there's definitely those times that come up when you have an employee that's putting a lawsuit against you, or for whatever reason your phone is just not ringing, and you have to get into that hustle mode in order to make payroll. You have no work on the schedule for next week. Now, what I like to focus on is, what is the root cause of all those problems? How could I have avoided that pain of needing to expend a tremendous amount of energy and put out this fire if I would have at some point in the past put something in place to prevent that from ever happening? It's the difference between being a firefighter and a fire inspector.
Yeah.
And a lot of people who are in a constant season of hustling and grinding, it's because they don't actually take the time to let the things burn a little bit and say, I'm going to put something in place now and spend time so that I never have to deal with this again in the future. And it's kind of a Zen state of mind when you focus and try to focus 100% of your time in that zone, because nobody else in your business is likely going to be focused in that part of I want to create all the stuff so that these problems never come to fruition. And what it looks like is creating marketing tracking reports where you can track your dollars, and you're hiring the right people, and you're finding the right vendors, and you are putting systems in place, and you're putting training programs in place for employees. You're putting together, exactly, this is how we interview, this is how we train, this is how we discipline, this is all these different things that reduce the amount of chaos that a business owner has in their life. And I hear a lot of very, very successful entrepreneurs talk about signal to noise ratio.
Yeah.
And the signal is like the clear one thing that you should be focused on, and the noise is everything else. This is the highest, most leverageable thing that you should be doing, and that's the signal. And instead of being attuned to that signal, you're instead tuned into all the noise, and you're down operating at this very, very low level. And it requires a ton of effort, and it never goes away. It's like, you will always have that chaos and that noise until you decide to shift off of it and focus on that. And so the season of suck may come from, I'm dealing with all this noise and I'm putting extra hours in, hopefully to be able to solve these problems from ever happening again. But if your default state is, well, I got weekends and I got evenings and I got all this extra time and I'm young and my body's still in good shape, that stuff can be taken away from you like that.
Yeah.
And, that's what happened to my dad. That's what happened to me and my business. I had several of those epiphany moments where I'm like, I'm not nearly as redundant as I thought I was in my business. And the business is still highly dependent upon me.
Mm-hmm.
And now I spend all my time trying to think of like, how can I not be relied upon in any aspect of my business? And how can I pull myself out of every aspect of the business? because that's what fits with my why, and being able to have more time freedom, be more balanced, spend more time with my family, focus on my faith, focus on my health, and just put myself in a place where I don't have so many masters calling my name, because you're
Yeah.
not really the boss. You have hundreds of bosses. And that's the hard part, is people can get confused as
Yeah.
to, whether they're the boss or not.
Yeah. When you were talking about signal to noise ratio and focusing on the one thing that is the highest um, value or the highest priority thing, you probably hear people go, "Well, here are my top 20 priorities." And I'm like,
Right.
that's the word priority means one,
Hmm.
you know, and maybe you have two priorities. Maybe it's fix this thing and stay married. Like you have different segments of life, but
Yeah.
trying to have 20 priorities or 10 is a misnomer. Um, let's lean into hiring a little bit. I want to get into hire bus, but staying with solving problems and letting them stay solved. When someone's newer in business, maybe it's just them, maybe they got 4 or 5 employees, but you hit a point where you recognize I'm wearing every hat and this is not sustainable if I want to grow. What's for you? What would, like, if you're starting another from scratch, what's your first hire? What do you want to take off your plate early on?
Well, okay. So let's pretend that, um, let's pretend that it's not a whole bunch of capital, and I'm coming in with 100 grand, and I'm going to, get this business, all the positions placed from day one. The first most important hire is to replace yourself off of the tools. That is the most critical component. Unless you just suck so bad at sales that you could not sell, anything to anybody, and customers really, really don't like you showing up to their house and don't like you talking, you do not present well whatsoever, which is usually not the case for most
Nothing.
entrepreneurs, you know. Usually the entrepreneur is actually one of the better salespeople in the company, because they have the passion and they're the ones that decided to create this business in the first place. So usually the confidence is there. But if for whatever reason that's not you, maybe the first person you hire is a salesperson and you stay in the field for a little while. But,
Okay.
getting someone to take you off of the tools and ensure that the delivery of whatever it is that you sell can happen without you, first and foremost. From there, it usually goes into either, a sales type of a role to get yourself out of sales, or an admin person to get yourself out of the office and the back end supports. And then as you kind of expand up, then you can start getting to a place where you can get like a leader in place, or a GM, or operations managers, or production managers, and, scale up that way. But first and foremost, you just got to stop doing the work in the field. That's for sure.
Agreed. Because we've only got so much time and
Yeah.
hours in the day to get stuff done. Um,
Yeah.
with HireBus, we used HireBus this spring, by the way, to do our spring hire,
Oh, right on.
and we ran it with 3 positions, and there's so I want to ask you something specifically about where we are with AI and in HireBus and what you see. Like it automates and systematizes so many things. There's like so much less granular work to do, chasing people down. It does the pre-interviews with the voice chat. Really love that. But what part of the hiring process, in your opinion, should never be outsourced to technology? It should be done by a person.
They're choosing who you're going to hire. Don't just put the choice of who to hire strictly to an AI agent. That's
To the
not.
bot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, uh, the interesting thing is, now we've processed, close to 2 million candidates through HireBus platform.
Wow.
And we have seen an unbelievable amount of data come in for, people that apply, and what their backgrounds and their skill sets and their behavioral assessments, and, all these different data points now that our AI agents are really enjoying digesting and getting us some really cool insights in the hiring process. But the thing that I constantly see is that there are people that may perform really, really well for one type of owner, and then perform really poorly for another type of owner. The person hasn't changed. The person is still their skills, their experience, their resume, but the environment that they operate inside of can make or break the difference between someone who does very, very well
Mhm.
or someone that doesn't. We've actually seen people in actual like the same city be hired at one of our clients' companies and not work out well, and then be hired by another company for a similar type of role and do extremely well.
Yeah.
It's like, well, wait a minute, what's going on? And the reality is that there's a complex dynamic of an owner and their leadership style, what the company culture is like, what their shop looks like. Is it clean? Is it organized? Does it have flickering dim lights and paint peeling off the wall? And it just is like a depressing environment. Do you allow cancerous people to stay inside of your company, or do you clear that crap out so that you don't have that affect your entire team and actually affect high performers? And
Yeah.
there's so much that goes on to that side of whether or not someone's going to be successful inside of a company, that the human part really comes in and looks at the whole picture of, would this person work well inside the business? And really, there's a lot of legwork to be done before you hire someone to make sure that you're setting them up for success. What
Yeah.
your training program looks like as soon as they onboard, or this is just kind of thrown to the wolves and figuring out on their own. Maybe it doesn't do well with that person, even though they would be a high performance person. You just got to set them up for success better. So there's a lot still to do that's above and beyond just whether or not I can find someone that's well suited for this position.
Mhm.
And that's the part that owners really need to focus on.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I'm trying to recall who I first heard say it, but it was a big epiphany for me. Maybe it was you at that first huge convention, but somebody's talking about hiring, and they were like, because you hear it frequently, you go, nobody wants to work these days, blah, 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 blah. It's, the kind of people are lazy, whatever it is. And I go, it's not nobody wants to work today. It's no one wants to work for you.
Yeah, right.
So he
That's
said that,
exactly
like,
right.
they don't want to work for you. If you
Yep.
want to hire A players, you have to become an organization that attracts A players. That would be where they
100%.
want to land. Yeah, and otherwise, it's just, forget it.
100%. And those little small details of, what your shop looks like, your office looks like, or, okay, let's say you don't have a shop yet. How well is your truck organized? Do you have all your bins clearly organized in the back? Do you keep it clean? Do you keep a high standard? Because high performers, they want that environment. And whatever a business owner cares at that level, usually employees will find a level that's just beneath that. And then you're constantly trying to get them up to here. But if your standards are down here to start with,
Mhm.
for performance or for organization or for consistency, it's hard being the boss. It's hard to be the leader, and
And
it's a heavy responsibility.
yeah, yeah. So a funny side story on that. We've got an auto detail shop, um, and it does pretty well. And we try to keep it, at the top of the game. And 2 years ago, I heard about another detail shop. Somebody said, "Hey, so and so, I think they're going to sell that business." And I'm like, "Oh, let me go." So I just went to their place of operations. And it's after hours. I just wanted to look in the windows and creep a little bit. I looked in the window and the guy's sitting there in his office. I was like, "Oh shit." All right. So he comes to the door and we chat for a minute. And I was like,
You're like,
I'm like, no. And there he
oh,
is looking back
hi.
at me. I'm like, "Hi, are you open?" And
Yeah.
he opened the door and invited me in, and I stepped into, this is a detail shop. This is a cleaning company, and it was so absolutely gross and
Mhm,
just junky and dirt, and like it was horribly dirty.
mhm.
And as we started talking, he talked about, well, one of my employees, he's not really an employee. We keep him, pay him under the table. We just pay him enough to get whiskey, and when his old lady kicks him out, we let him sleep in the shop. I'm like,
Oh my gosh.
oh
Yeah.
yeah, no thanks.
Uh-huh. And how
Like,
much did the value of that company go down in your mind when you were probably thinking about maybe acquiring it?
yeah.
How much did that just immediately tick that down?
Oh,
Right?
like, 100% gone. He ended up not selling and had to just fold. So there you go. Too
Hey,
bad.
then you're able to pick up the customers for way cheap.
Okay, we did one thing. I tried to call him and just buy his phone number because I knew people would still call that number. He had some clients, and he never returned a call, never returned a call. So I would just set a timer. I would call once a week until it gave you the tone, this number's disconnected. Then I called the phone company and got the number. Into that.
Nice.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
he had a great location. I've been bugging the owner of the building for 2 years to, see if he wants to lease or sell the building. And that's been a slow process. We'll see. We'll see how that goes. All right. Well, you answered this question I really wanted to ask. You answered most of it. It's like, how often do people go or think this is a bad hire when really it's just poor leadership on their side?
Yeah.
And see it over and over. But with your coaching and stuff, like if somebody recognizes maybe I am the leadership problem, like how do they become a better leader? That's a bigger question than I thought I would ask today.
No, it's a great question. It's one that I think a lot about myself personally. I'm a big fan of John Maxwell. I really like his leadership books. I like his content on, asking more questions, being less directive, less prescriptive of what your employees need to do. It's giving people a fish versus teaching them how to fish.
Mhm.
It's one of the things I'm going to talk a little bit about in my keynote is the trap that we fall into of being the chief answer officer. And that we can train our employees to not be critical thinkers. We can train our employees to not think in common sense terms. They can be not empowered to be able to make choices when we aren't there. And all those little times when they make a mistake or someone forgets to do something, it's a teaching moment or a leadership moment for you to be able to reinforce behavior that you want or reinforce behavior that you don't want. And all of those little moments that you have, how you talk to them, how critical you are, how heavy-handed you are, how it's like, okay, I got to do this thing now. It will teach them what they need to do the next time that comes around. And you can put yourself into this trap of no one can do it as good as you can. And so therefore, I'm not going to make any decisions without that person being involved, you. And I'd say that the John Maxwell book leadership series has been really good for me. I read a lot of Simon Sinek.
Mhm.
I heard a long time ago that leaders are readers. And the more that you read, especially on subject, seek out subject matter on what your specific weaknesses are and try to study and fill in those weaknesses, has been what's been helpful for me, and just get a variety of different opinions. Don't put myself into an echo chamber of people telling me that I'm doing great. I want to be around people that tell me where I'm not doing good,
Yeah.
and listen to those people.
Well, as you've risen as a leader, did you find it? Do you have people around you that you feel like they're just telling you what they want to hear because you're the boss, or have you been able to develop a team that challenges you? I mean, that's hard for an employee to challenge the boss.
Yeah. Well, you have to create a safe environment. You have to show them that not only are you okay with getting critical feedback from your employees, but you actually welcome it. And then you also need to be strong enough to debate it and fight for what you believe to be right. And good leadership comes from a place of high trust. And every time you tell an employee, hey, we're rolling out this new thing and it's going to do this new thing, and this is what we're going to be doing this year, and for whatever reason that doesn't happen, your trust is lower. If you tell them that you're going to order something and it doesn't show up on the day that you say, your trust is lower. If they say, hey, I need this, and you're like, no problem, I'm going to get that order, and then you forget, your trust is lower. And all those little bids of trust, it's like filling up the jar full of marbles. Trust isn't just a one-time event that happens. It's built on a series of all these little single marble deposits inside of this jar as to whether or not you say you can trust someone. It has to do with all those little micro actions that happen every single day as to whether or not someone will trust you as a leader. And I'll be honest with you, my biggest struggle is consistency. I have ADHD. I zone out. I space out. I get excited about a project. I get it to a certain level, and then I kind of get distracted with other things. And I have to actually put managers and leaders and people in place that are unbelievably consistent, because that fills in my gaps. And I don't have to be the person that needs to show up every single week at the exact time and do the thing. Instead, I can have someone that they live, eat, and sleep and breathe that type of consistency. and I don't have to put that pressure on myself to be that person. Doesn't mean that I won't work on it, and it's not something I strive to be better at, but it means that I have to recognize that I need to bring people that are better than me in my weaknesses, and then I can stay in my zone of genius, quote unquote, in my business where I know I can give the best amount of impact to the company that I possibly can. And so I'd say that the more that you focus and research and read on that types of things, and then fill in gaps of your leadership style with other leaders in your organization that do a better job, the better it is. And quick story I'll share to illustrate this in 2 ways. My operations manager, Steve, when I hired him to my company, my employees loved having him as their boss way more than they loved having me as the boss, because he actually made sure that inventory was stocked on the shelves at all time. And he would serve them at the highest level. When I hired a replacement commercial salesperson, Chava, one of my first ones, and I talked to some of my customers, they'd be like, we love Chava. When I ask for a quote, he actually gives us the quote and he remembers to send it back to us. And he comes by every single month and brings in donuts. And I'm like, oh man, I was bad at that stuff. And so getting a good leader is ones that brings in and raises up leaders to be better than them and not be the person that has all the answers. I use, I don't know, very often when people ask me for answers to things, because I want them to think critically and I want them to find out the answer. And I don't want to be the chief answer officer that always has the answer to every question. I'm not smart enough to be that person.
Yeah. It's interesting that there's a point. A lot of guys go like they want to feel needed. Like if everybody comes to the boss and goes, hey, what about this? They're like, yeah, I've got the answer. Yeah, I got the answer, because they do. It feels good for a second, but you hit it. It trains your people to be dependent and not grow, not lead.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Hey, but while we are winding down, let's talk a little bit about the huge conventions next week. It's a week from, is today Tuesday? All right. We start a week from tomorrow. Wednesday, we have our pre-show classes. Thursday, keynote, Brandon Vaughn. So the day I downloaded my dad's brain, why do people need to be in the room? What are they going to learn? You have to teach the whole thing, but what's a key takeaway that you anticipate that would be really important for a business builder to be in the room for? Even if you don't give the answer, you can tell them this question.
I would say that if you're feeling stuck and you're feeling like something's missing and you can't quite figure out why exactly you're not seeing progress in your business, I'm willing to bet that it has to do with the thing I'm going to be speaking on.
Okay.
And genuinely, it's such a universally applicable framework that goes across every aspect of the business. It's not just for the owner, it is for everybody inside of the business. And especially now with what's happening in the world with AI, it's unbelievably critical that you get on top of this immediately. You should have probably started on this over a year ago. And if you haven't, you better catch up, because your competitors and private equity groups and these other companies that are getting into the trades, they really have an opportunity to gobble up a lot of market share. And a couple keynote and speaking sessions I've been talking about is AI native or AI extinct. And it's bold, but I do believe that there is going to be a thinning of the herd in the trades for people that just will not be able to compete because they don't know what's going on in the world of AI. And it's a fundamental shift, more important than the internet, more important than the phone, electricity. I mean, it's huge. So I think it is important that people, be there from that perspective. And then the last thing I'll just say is there's very, very few places on the planet that you can go and be surrounded by thousands of people that have the exact same problems that you do and be able to talk to just about anybody that's there and sit down and have some value to share and some value to receive. Mm-hmm. And so don't come for me, come for everybody else, because the hallway conversation will be just as impactful as a keynote will be. And you'll get dozens of those. So I'm excited to see everybody.
Yeah, very, very true. The first convention I went to when I met you, I met Josh Latimer, Mike Dahlke, met Howard Partridge. I met a guy named Brian Hegarty. I think you know Brian.
Hey, yeah, very well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Brian. Yeah, and I sat next to him at the first keynote. We talked in the hall, and I was looking for somebody specifically that had a business 4 times bigger than mine. And he's the first guy I met. And I go, "Tell me about your business." He's like, "Yeah, it's like 1.2 million." I'm like, "That's 4 times the size of mine." And I instantly, like, I was like, "Can I take you to lunch? I got questions." And
It's
he,
awesome.
like, the hallway conversations, he shared a throwaway idea that was really pertinent then. It's not so much now, but it made me $50,000 in the next 2 years. Just added fresh revenue. He's like, "Yeah, just freaking do this. It's nothing to it."
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good
Why
Brian
didn't I think of that?
impersonation.
That is Brian. Well, good. Well, I can't wait to see you, and we'll see you next week on Thursday in Orlando, and look forward to meeting your dad or seeing your dad there. That's really cool.
Yeah, looking forward to it as well, Sid. Can't wait, man. It's going to be a good time.
Great. Great to see you. Congratulations on the sale of Wise Coatings. Congratulations on your daughter's upcoming wedding.
Thank you.
This is really cool. And
Appreciate it.
we'll see you then. Thank you.
All right, see ya.
All right. Cheers.